and to reveal the things that people reveal. Like when I was growing up, so many things were taboo. You never talked about, and in some respects, a part of me is kind of sad for that, for the lack of the honesty.
There's a sadness. There's a longing that we miss so much as to what we could have done. Hey, Brian, okay, and this isn't depravity, but I'll give you an example. I was bullied horribly in grade 7 and 8.
Oh yeah.
I was terrible. I was taken out behind the portables and I was beaten up and stripped and defecated on and pissed on. And
really? Oh my God.
Yeah. And, there's not many people that know that, but I experienced that. Was I that? So here's how we get so attached to what we think we are and what we think we should be. Was I that horrible? Was I that wretched a person at age 12 that I deserved to be treated and humiliated in that fashion?
Of course not.
Guess what I grew up with? Guess what I've attached to? I've grown up feeling worthless and not entitled and useless and a fuck up, and that's what I've grown up in life with. That's what I chose to hold on to. But that's just a belief. Just a moment here.
Yeah.
It's my father. And my father's probably calling to talk to me before he goes to my sister's wedding, or I'm sorry, my nephew's wedding tomorrow. Okay. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks, Grant. I just sit here watching some golf and went down to the bank and paid a couple of bills. And so I thought, well, by golly, in case I forget and get wrapped up in watching TV and forget to phone you. So
yeah,
we're out of here, I think, around 9 in the morning.
Okay.
And we're looking at about 5 hours. Mickey has to get out every so often.
Right.
And she probably had Red Deer and then Cochrane or someplace wherever we can, or Cochrane, grab something to eat. And then we'll be in Banff and spaced, maybe, a lot of the time. So I guess it'll be all right. I could just about as easily stay home, but anyway.
Okay.
Are you at home now?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I'm just chatting with a friend on the computer. So.
Well, it's a pretty quiet day, but it's really turned nice, and I think tomorrow is going to be quite nice, and then it's going to be quite a cool Monday. So we'll have some cool traveling coming home, apparently. But
okay,
it's nicer in the south than it is here.
Yeah. Well, listen. Thanks for phoning. I was going to phone. You have a great trip. I hope it's a good event. Give my love to Scott. My wishings to Scott and Laura, and give me a call when you get back and let me know how it went. Okay?
Yeah, I will do. We're home Monday sometime, and so we'll be okay.
Okay, Dad. Thanks for phoning.
Well, you have a good weekend. You're staying right in town.
Yeah, we are, Dad.
Yeah. Okay, dear. So many blessings and a good weekend, and we'll talk to you Monday probably.
Okay, love you, Dad.
Yeah, love you too. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye. Oh, by the way, I'm in the hospital about to undergo surgery.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have a nice trip home.
And that's why my dad drives me crazy. And that's what my sister's like too. My sister and I will never, ever, ever have a conversation like this, ever. Yeah. Well, I shouldn't say that. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
In my world as it exists, we'll never have this kind of a conversation because number one, she doesn't understand it. Number two, she gets all sorts of buttons pushed and pushes back. She can't go there. So why try to make her go there? And that's but you know what? I was in a place where I was exactly like her, you know? And my pushback to what happened to me is I became I overcompensated. I became very arrogant and a real prick and really standoffish and better than you. And sometimes that comes out, but I'm learning to go a little more with the flow of life is what I'm saying. When I push back on something, I'm kind of miserable.
Thankfully, I haven't seen that, Grant. But you know, hey, we're fairly new in our relationship.
You know, we're sort of kindred spirits, and I mean, if that does happen, we both know that we can go back to the either and say, hey, look, let's talk about this, and we're amenable to doing that.
Exactly.
The friend that I lost a year ago is not amenable to doing it. He's not really amenable to talking about it. We talked about it.
Mhm.
I do things that he just finds over the top and too unpredictable, and that upsets him. And I said, okay, there we go. You know, shit. Would have been nice to have done this a year ago.
Yeah.
Because it's been making my life miserable for the last year.
Well, again, that's getting back to the conversations that were never had, that you wish you had had, or that people felt free enough to be honest with one another. You know, and a good example is the conversations in the living years. You know, that song.
Yes, great song.
Which is a song that when my dad was alive, talked to me, because I knew we never had those conversations. I'd love to have had them, uh, but again, you know, by 20, I fucked off and I was doing my own thing. When he died, I went over to England for the funeral, and my niece's wedding, the stag party for fiance, who was in the armed forces, American armed forces. And so one of the guys had rented and was living on this 200-year-old farm in Cornwall. We went to the party, and this guy had a room with shelving all the way around of almost any music, with
Amazing.
a beautiful stereo system. So everybody was in the bar room where this guy had his motorcycle, but was where everybody was drinking. We were all drunk. And I came across In the Living Years. So I put that on. My dad, we would just buried him, you know, a few days previous.
Uh-huh.
I put that song on, and I was blubbering like a baby, dancing to the music, grieving. He walked in and said, "Holy shit, Coffin, what's the matter with you?" And I said, fuck off, I'm grieving." That song talks about the fact that in the living years, we never had the opportunity to say the things that we wanted to say.
I got a real sense and a real twinge in myself of those exact regrets. And yet, here's the good news. Do you want to hear the good news?
Sure.
It's just an illusion, because
Mm-hmm.
it happened in time, and time doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And you can, if it's really important, you can relive that illusion at another time in another life and not have regrets. We're all complete. We all have those regrets. And then there's those that have told everything and wish they kept their fucking mouth shut.
You can be totally honest, but cruel. And I don't think that's where I want to go either.
In another universe, in a parallel universe, you may have had conversations, and because of the way they ended up going, because of both the separate upbringings, like father, like son, like son, like son, like son, like son, and it's the field of epigenesis. It's that when trauma happens in a lineage of family, the trauma actually interrupts and becomes part of the DNA, and therefore it's by nature passed down from generation to generation to generation. John Bradshaw, incredible man, died a few years ago, did a series on the family, and he did it on PBS. That's where he came to fame. And he would come out and there would be a mobile hanging, and he would go up to this mobile and he would touch one piece and the whole system would interact. He got talking about how we all have this wounded child inside of ourselves that we need to, as an adult, parent and love and reconcile and be there for without any judgment, so that we can start to metamorphose into that which we truly are, which is pure being. I mean, my point, coming back to what I started with, is that because of that mishmash of the cosmos, you could have had a conversation with your dad that went really sideways and really ugly. And you could be sitting here today in a parallel universe saying, I wish I'd never had that
That's great.
conversation.
Yeah, it just reminded me of a situation when we went over the year before my dad died. We went over to for Christmas. Brianna was 5 and or 4, and so he was not well at that point, and they were in a granny suite of this motel that my sister had owned. I took Brianna in there, and she's bouncing around all over the place. And his comment to me was, "Can't control your child," or something. And I went, what? And then my mother came out of the kitchen immediately. As soon as she heard that vibe, she was in there saying, "Oh, we could do this and do that, and so she directed it so that we didn't have that, those words that I may have regretted saying.
Is Charlotte, my wife who passed away, was telling me about the story about the time they were on a family holiday. Great Uncle Albert decided that he would sleep on the couch, and they woke up in the morning and Great Uncle Albert was dead. And Charlotte said all she can remember was, come on, get your stuff back. We gotta go. And her mom herded up the kids and packed everything and threw it in the car, and they were gone within about 10 minutes, and she never understood what happened. Her mother never spoke of that incident, ever. It's bizarre. It's fascinating stuff, Brian. So here's a couple of old guys, dumping their stories and their lives out, and, on a Zoom call, and who knows what can come of it.